Hello and welcome to today's video. It is officially May, which means the OWLS Magical Readathon is over. And I had a fantastic April reading month. I read way more books than I normally read, but I don't think I actually finished my career exam goal. Since I don't know if you can double up on books, I don't remember, please tell me if you can. So I wrote all the exams out, so I'll just go in order for exams. Let me just turn this off. It's really loud and distracting. For Ancient Ruins, you had to have something on the cover that had a heart, or said heart. For that, I picked The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. I actually finished this last night and it was really good. I really liked it. I love Emily Lloyd Jones' writing. The beginning was a little, where'd my bookmark go? There. The beginning was a little slow, I do have to say, but it really picked up and was really intriguing, and then the ending was really good. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5. It might be like a 4.5 or 4, but I'm just gonna round it up to 5 because I really enjoyed it. It was good. I don't want to give anything away. It was a little emotional at points, and this is another book actually this month that I read that had parents that had addiction issues. So there is substance abuse, but it's not I was going to say it's not mentioned throughout the whole book, but it is brought up throughout the whole book. It's about Dee, and to get out of her house and to stay in school, she ends up having to make a deal with a demon, and she trades her heart. So she is the Heartless, and there's a couple more Heartless that are in the book, and they end up having to work for him. I don't really want to give away any more than that. But she ends up working with the other Heartless, and she meets James, who she begins to have feelings for. The next one was Arithmancy, and I think this one was read a book from a genre you don't normally read. So I picked Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. So I listened to it because it's better to listen to this than a fantasy with a lot of violence in it. If I'm listening to it out loud with the kids near me when I'm doing chores, making dinner, breakfast, that sort of thing, this one is better. I found some of it quite motivating when she talked about writing, because I would like to read a book. I do have an idea, I just haven't sat down to read it, and that part was motivating. There is quite a lot in here though that I found problematic and I didn't really agree with, and I don't really know how in depth you want me to go, but there's a lot of good reviews of it on Goodreads. I don't know if I want to go over everything, but I'll go over a few. So Rachel Hollis is huge in MLM companies, which is why I got it, because I used to be into Beachbody, and MLM marketing is like a pyramid scheme. So a lot of people don't really like her books because she's a big supporter of MLMs, but there is a part in here where she wrote a book and everyone told her no, we're not going to publish it. It needs to have more sex scenes, and she said no, I don't want to include that, so she self-published it instead. And I think that's great. Some people had an issue with that, but I think it's great if you want to publish your book and everyone's telling you no, like, and if you really still want to publish, maybe self-publish it. And it ended up doing really good as a self-published book. But in other ways, maybe if it's a vulnerable audience reading her book, because everyone who reads this book, it's like a self-help book basically, so a lot of people might be quite vulnerable, and then if they're reading and they're like, oh, never take no for an answer, well, sometimes no is an answer, and you should take no seriously instead of just like pushing back and being annoying. I gave it a 3. I'm not going to deny that if you read it and you're like, wow, Mackenzie, there's really problematic things in this, I'm gonna be like, yes there is, but I enjoyed some of it about the writing and just going after your dreams. I liked that part, but some parts I really didn't agree with. All right, hopefully the lighting's okay. I had to turn the light on. That was my heel that made that gross sound. Okay, my wrist hurts too. Can you see that bump on my wrist? compared to here, I'll put my shirt compared to my other wrist. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. It's hurting right now though. So, forget where I was. Oh, The Raven and the Dove, Tristan and Isolde retelling. I haven't read the original, so I have no idea what to base it off of. So this is a self-published book. I follow her on Instagram. I really wish I got the hardcover version. The hardcover is beautiful. You take the dust jacket off and it's this cover. The soft cover is so worn and ratty because I seriously brought it everywhere for the time I was reading it, and I brought it outside. It's just like, it's dirty, it's used, I might eventually end up getting the hardcover for it because the hardcover is beautiful, and this is pretty beat up. Some of it was kind of slow, but I did enjoy it overall. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars, though the ending was so action-packed, and I'm really excited for the next book because it's all building up to that book. There's a lot of build-up. I wish there was more romance in it. There is a romance, but not a lot. It reminds me of, kind of reminds me of A Court of Thorns and Roses, like that series, because they call each other mate. But less scandalous. Most of it was really tame, and then the end got more brutal, and I kind of wish it was more throughout the whole book, but I liked it. I will continue on with the series. Next was Care of Magical Creatures. I was supposed to read Crown of Feathers for this, and I didn't end up getting to it. It's huge. I did not have time to read it. I really want to read it, so I will be reading this in May. Yay. But I did finish a book that would fit in it, but I didn't start it in April. I started at the end of March. And that book is The Midnight Lie by Marie Rudkowski, and there's a bird at the back with a beak. So I don't know if it counts, but I finished it and I read the majority of it in April. I don't know. I really enjoyed this book though. I had no idea what to expect, but this is not what I expected at all. It's so different than what I thought it was going to be, and it would be really good as a standalone, but I think it's gonna be a series. But it was pretty good. I don't even know how to explain it because it's nothing what I expected at all. So I don't even know. It's set in the same world as her Winners trilogy. A few characters do pop up in this. Well, one character pops up in it and other characters are mentioned, but not until the ending sort of thing. So you don't really have to read the Winners trilogy before this one. It does take place after. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars and I would recommend it. I don't know how to describe it because even reading this, it's so different than what I expected. So it's about Niram and where she lives. Crime abounds, a harsh tribunal rules. A society's pleasures are reserved for the high kith. Life in the ward is grim and punishing. People of her low status are forbidden from sampling sweets or wearing colors. You either follow the rules or pay a tithe, and suffer the consequences. Niram keeps her head down and a dangerous secret close to her chest. But then she encounters Sid, a rakish traveler from far away who whispers rumors that the High Kith possesses magic. Sid tempts Niram to seek the magic for herself, but to do that, Niram must surrender her old life. She must place her trust in the sly stranger who asks, above all, not to be trusted. Set in the world of the Winners trilogy, this epic LGBTQ romantic fantasy is about learning to free ourselves from the lies others tell us and the lies we tell ourselves. My eyes started twitching. Yeah. Just go read it. Next is Charms, and for that I read Sadie. Well, I listened to it as an audiobook, and I talked a lot about this in the first reading vlog I did for this readathon, and the cover had to be white for Charms, I believe. This book was amazing. It was really good. I wrote down 4 out of 5 stars, but it might even be 5 out of 5. Yeah, the audiobook was so well done. If you do want to read Sadie, the audiobook is probably the way to go. You honestly feel like you're listening to the podcast, since some of the chapters are from her point of view and some of the chapters are from this guy's point of view. He's a podcast and he does interviews, so there's all these voices and all these characters, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, it's not a fun story, but listening to it that way was very intriguing and interesting and just emotional, and it was really, really good. Though the story is not a pleasant story. It's about a girl, Sadie, who okay, first of all, their mother is an alcoholic and addicted to drugs, and she goes through men quite often and brings them home, and a lot of them are also drug addicts. So they had a very messy childhood, and Sadie grew quite close to her younger sister. I'm forgetting her younger sister's name, but I do not remember. Her younger sister goes missing, and eventually it turns up dead. And then Sadie runs away. So the grandmother, who's not actually their grandmother, or is it their aunt? I don't remember what she's called. But anyways, it's someone who just watched them because their mother wasn't really there to watch them. She calls in this guy who does a podcast to investigate and see if he can track down Sadie because the police couldn't. And so it's him tracing her footsteps and trying to find out what she did and where she went. And yeah, it's quite the emotional roller coaster. Then we have Defense Against the Dark Arts. So for that one, you had to read a book that was set near an ocean, or set on the ocean. I don't know. Something near a body of water. So for that, I read House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This was creepy, amazing. The writing was so... I can't think of the word. Why can't I think of the word? Atmospheric. I really, really, really liked it, and I'm happy I ended up getting this one. It was so good. I read it mainly at nighttime because that's when I read, and Alex plays D&D in the workshop, so when he was playing D&D, I did not read very much that night because some of it's pretty creepy, and I have a very overactive imagination, so reading creepy things by myself at nighttime is just not a good time. So I read it, and then I just kind of ran around the house quickly and didn't look down the dark hallway, and it was good. It was really good. So it's based off of 12 Dancing Princesses, which I've never read or heard of before this. So this is about Anna Lee and her family. They live in Highmore, a manor by the sea. There were 12 of them, her and her sisters, but now I think there's like 8. Yeah. So her sisters keep dying, and then the most recent one dies, and she thinks it's murder. So then she starts to investigate the murder and see what's actually happening in her family to prove to everyone that they're not actually cursed. Because that's the rumor that's going around, is that this family's cursed. There's a bit of a love interest and romance in this book too, and I really liked the ending. Then for Divination, you had to number your TBR and pick a random number to get that book. I forget what I picked. I did it in the reading vlog, I think, and I just didn't end up doing anything for that. Next is Herbology. You had to read a book that starts with M. For Herbology, I read Monstress, and this is a big copy. It's book 1, so it's bind up of a few volumes, and it was really, really good. Super graphic and violent and disturbing, some of the beautiful artwork. So definitely did not leave this lying around when the kids were awake so they couldn't have nightmares or anything. The art is amazing, the story is amazing. I liked it and I would definitely recommend it. This was so good. And there's more. So I need to figure out how many volumes are in this to see what I need to read still, but it was good. Some of the artwork is very cutesy and then some of it is just so disturbing and scary and just like, oh my gosh, if the kids saw that they would have nightmares. Where is the cutesy one? Well, I can't find it. Oh, at the end of each chapter, it's like a little history lesson that this cat is giving to like the little kittens, and it's super adorable. And also gave you a lot of background information. Next was History of Magic. So for that one, you had to read a book that had a witch or a wizard or someone who did magic in it. And I don't think I actually read anything for this. Nope. Oh wait. Actually, I have an audiobook. The Shadow Hour by Melissa Gray. They have magic that fits. Yay. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I liked the first one, The Girl at Midnight, but The Shadow Hour took me so long to get through. It took me the whole month to listen to this audiobook. It was just, I just could not get into it. And then by the last little bit, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm more into the story now, but it took a long time to read or listen to the audiobook. Then we have Muggle Studies, and for this one I listened to Again But Better by I forget her name, but she is a booktuber, Christine, and it was interesting. I don't know, it was like a really feel-good story, I guess. It was just a contemporary romance with a twist in there that I don't know if it's supposed to be a spoiler or not. Is it a surprise? I don't know. I read a review and saw it in there. I don't know if I should tell you. I have no idea, so I'm not going to. There's a twist in there though. Yeah, it would probably be a really cute rom-com movie. Probably be really cute. Yeah. Though there is like a possible, like there is an aspect of cheating or almost cheating in it, and I just didn't like that. I didn't like that. And it was pretty cringy, some of it, and secondhand embarrassment was very strong with this book, and I laughed out loud though a lot. So I'm happy I read it. I've been wanting to listen to it or read it for a while. I give it like a 3. Then was Potions, and was read a book, max 150 pages. For that, I read The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin. This, very short. Read it in a morning or evening. I read it at night, yeah. Yeah, so fast to read. Like the story. Like, it has art in it, which was fun. It's like a kid's book, so like it was super fast to read. Beautiful artwork. It's set in the same world as Game of Thrones. I don't know what time though, like the timeline, I don't know where it is in the timeline. I guess I probably could have figured it out, but I was going to figure it out. I didn't, so sorry. Yeah, if you are a fan of that whole series and world, just read this. It's a cute little story. Just read it. It was fun. And it was Transfigurations. I wanted to read King of Scars for this. I didn't. Yep. So I think those were all the books I read. Let me just go over one more time just to make sure I actually got everything. Also, I read 10 books. I haven't read 10 books in 1 month in so long. So this is exciting. So I read The Midnight Lie, The Raven and the Dove, Shadow Hour, Girl Wash Your Face, Monstress, The Ice Dragon, Sadie, Again But Better, House of Salt and Sorrows, The Hearts We Sold. 10 books. That's amazing. Yay. I'm proud of myself. So books I started and couldn't finish. I started listening to Girl Stop Apologizing, and also started listening to The Savage Dawn, and I couldn't finish those two. I didn't start Crown of Feathers. So yeah, there's 3 books that were also on my goal list I didn't get around to, but 10 books is amazing. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below what you read in the month of April, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.